Okay, we are in the process of putting sails on. We have 2 of them on so far, and then we will video the next one being put on so that you can understand what we're doing. The critical part is to know that which way they need to go and which way the bracket needs to go, the brace which goes up there, and that of course gets regulated by the weight and the wind. The wind against the weight and the weight against the wind, and we don't have that on here yet, but that will be coming in just a few minutes. So with that, we will proceed to put on the next sail. Okay, now we're going to put the sail on here. Well, it almost seems like it's going backwards, but this is the way it is. It took us a while after we got it. It was a basket case, and we had to figure it out, but this is how it is. Okay, the rod goes through. My assistant Gary is doing everything, patiently waiting. Okay, then the rod through here. There it is. Now, we have the flat rod here. Goes center here. So, when these first came out, they all had square-headed bolts. Of course, if you really wanted to, you could get square-headed bolts, but we're not going to that extent. We are using the regular bolts that you get in a regular hardware store, Max or Runnings or whatever. Okay, that is up here. There's a nut on this. Yep, this is a little bit. Then I always lock nut these so that they will not come loose. Because like I said earlier, before you put in the air, the last thing you want to happen is something to come loose. Okay, we're putting some of these connectors on. My assistant Gary has been helping me. Cleaning up some of the holes here. We put down, found special bolts there. They're for indentations. They're smooth. They go in. They indentate. And then I also use lock nuts. Instead of locking, putting in 2 nuts and locking them, I'm actually using lock nuts, which is a little nicer deal. So, put it through like that, put the lock nut on, and I've got the handy dandy battery operated wrench here. Does a nice job. You don't want to put too much pressure on. They're made out of cast, boy, they'll snap like glass. Now, these here are actually, they've been refitted. They've got some extra bracing welded on. I'm going to use the extra bracing. I think they're okay as long as the bracing has been welded on properly and will do some good, which these have. I'm going to go ahead and drill them and go ahead and put bolts through and use them, because it's just more protection, more strength when you get up in the air. And when you get up in a 50-mile-an-hour wind, a little more strength doesn't hurt a thing. Okay, we're going to take a few minutes and put this brace on the sail. Of course, that's what regulates the sail in and out, is these braces. So it takes a 3/8 bolt. Remember, this These are not even. This bolt is not even, this bolt hole, but it is towards the top, needs to go towards the top, needs to go towards the big end. Otherwise, it won't be right. So that's something to keep in mind. That's right. There we are. Tap it down. My assistant Gary tapping. Flip it over. Got the paint on the hand. Watch out for don't get paint on you. Okay, put one there, that, and we'll have this sail ready to go. These are 9/16. If you can't find the right one, you always use the crescent wrench. That's always the way to go. Okay, these ends have to be ground down to allow these connections to go on. They need to go on snug, but you get them too snug. These are made out of cast and they will break. I have had them break before, but you want them to be nice and snug. So there it is. And then when you get it on, of course, you'll paint everything, and so it's covered, so it's weatherized. So now with this, being it's on, I am going to drill down through here. Grab the drill. And this is kind of tough because you gotta be able to go from the top hole to the bottom hole. Gotta clean it out periodically here. Looks like I'm going to have to come up through the bottom as well. There it is, right up through the top. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, these are the special bolts that go in there. As you can see, they're indented here. They're flanged, so that goes right through there. Fits, nice fitting right there. And these nuts are lock nuts, which go on the bottom. Screw them up all the way, snug them up tight. They're locked, it makes it work real nice. And then the excess I grind off so it's not just hanging out there. Okay, we've just finalized putting these braces on. This is the centerpiece here that slides back and forth that turn the sails in and out. And when we get a little further along, right now it's out of balance because we've got two here and one up there. It's really hard to do anything with until we can get them in balance. But that's just the way it is until you get more of them together. But we have connected these. We have put lock nuts on these because you don't want these too tight. Otherwise they'll lock everything up and they will not work properly. So that's why these have got to be able to turn, this has got to be able to turn, and these have got to be able to turn. So that it functions properly, the sail functions properly in the wind. And when we get to the part that talks about the weight and how the weight and the wind work against each other, we'll try to explain that when we get to it. Just secured these braces, the braces which hold the counterweight on, which takes some of the weight off of the head when it's mounted onto the windmill. So it's very important that I get these bolts nice and secure so that it does hold the W. Now we talked about the W earlier. What does the W stand for? We're not sure. It might stand for wind. It might stand for Wisconsin, where this head was made. We're just not sure. Nobody's ever quite been able to tell us. The next thing we're going to talk about is putting the counterweight on here. And as you can see, it moves nice and smooth. and it folds the windmill in and out depending on how much wind there is. And the theory behind it is the more the wind blows, the more it folds up to catch less wind. And that's kind of a self-preserving mechanism that it has. And if the wind's not blowing so much, then it opens up like this to catch more and more and more wind. So it's wide open. It can catch all the wind it can catch right here and pump as much as it can. But you can see that it would be a lot of exposure to the wind. If the wind was blowing very hard, it wouldn't be a very good situation for these fragile fins. But it's surprising when you hold them up how much wind they can stand and take. They can actually last for years and years and years. There's some that are out there that have been up for 30, 40, 50 years. So it's amazing how much they will stand once they're folded up like this. Okay, this is the W counterweight, which offsets some of the weight of the head. The head is really quite heavy, but this W is quite heavy. So when you get it way out here on the end of this lever here, it really does a good job of counterweighting the head. In fact, it's a pretty proven system. Some of these heads have been up and performing for more than 50 years. This is the counterweight that we're going to put on in a few minutes. And this is the weight that will slide back and forth, and it will determine how much wind that you have to have before the head starts folding up. It will determine how much wind you have to have before this wind starts folding up simply by moving this rod right here. The wind pushes against the sails, and it will automatically fold it up. Now, as you can see, the further up the weight is, the harder it would be to do that. The closer it is down here, the easier it would be. You can see by where it was on here before, it's been over the last 50 years, people have had it in different locations on here. I can tell because of the indentations of the set screw. So it just depends on how much wind you want it to have before it starts folding it up. The only thing is they are fairly high in maintenance. So that's the one thing you got to think about when you put up this style of head. They are quite a little maintenance. If you look right here, you'll see that this is a grease bowl, and there's two more of them towards the head. The front of the head there, or I might say the rear of the head. Actually, when the wind comes this direction. It comes like this, and this is always into the wind. The W is always into the wind. And that I did not realize when I started working on these windmills. I thought the face of it would always be in the wind, but I was absolutely dead wrong on that. Okay, this is the final product of our windmill head. It is called a pipe Raymond / Althouse Wheeler. If you go on the internet, that's where you'll find them. They were made in Wisconsin, and we found this one over by Lemon, South Dakota. We actually found two of them. The person that had them, their grandfather used it when they homesteaded up in North Dakota. So we were happy to get these windmill heads, and we were happy to be able to restore them and put them back into working order so that they could be used. Or if nothing else, they make one heck of a yard decoration when they're up on the windmill. I hope that this has helped anybody that wants to work on or restore one of these windmill heads. I hope that this has helped them somewhat. We've enjoyed doing it. And it's taken a lot of time to take them apart and completely refinish them. But we're happy we did, and we feel like we've really accomplished something. So to restore these heads, are, like I say, it's quite a project, but you really feel like you've accomplished something when you've got them done.